There was a dangerous beast in the woods that followed us home. No, it wasn't a bear or mountain lion. It was a dangerously intelligent creature that took pleasure in our fears. This happened about 5 or 8 years ago. My mom, brother, uncle, Aunt Kay, Aunt Ray. My brother, Aunt Kay, and I decided to go in the backyard woods for a hike. The weather was nice, so we figured it would be a good adventure. The woods stretched 2 miles out in all directions from our cabin. It was like we were the only humans to exist on the planet. Anyways, we traveled a long way out there, and we started to hear something unnatural.
I feel like something's watching me. I don't know what it is, but I don't feel safe for some reason.
My brother and I acknowledged her discomfort, and we just kept watching our backs. 5 minutes went by, and we all decided to return home. As we traveled, I heard something pretty ominous. Silence. There wasn't a single bird chirp, nor a gust of wind. It was as if my ears stopped working. I wasn't the only one that noticed. "What's going on?" my brother questioned loudly. His voice echoed as if there's no life by, just trees.
Come on, boys. Let's just get back home. It's getting dark.
My aunt ordered us. I thought it was just a natural anomaly, so I just ignored it and continued walking. It was around 5:30 p.m. That's what my watch said. And the sun was starting to lose its bliss radiation every minute. It was around autumn, so it got dark around 6 p.m. Our travel continued, and suddenly, my aunt shushed us. We turned around, and we heard someone yelling for assistance.
"Help! Is anyone there? Please! Help!"
I was about to walk to the cries for help, but my aunt placed her hands on my path to stop me.
No. Shh. Listen. The voice. It doesn't sound normal, and it keeps saying the same words.
She said.
"Help! Is anyone there? Please! Help!"
The cries continued. My brother got scared, so he yelled back. Who's there?" My aunt got mad and shook my brother loudly.
What the hell did I say? Shh.
My brother was a bit of a coward, so of course he yelled out again. "This is a private property. If you don't leave, I'm gonna call the cops." My aunt's eyes widened, not from anger, but from fear. The environment remained silent, and we heard something heavy. It was massive. It was like some bear was leaping from tree to tree. I looked down, and I noticed the sunlight on the ground was moving away from us. The sun was now at dusk. Soon, there will only be a luminous light from the moon. My aunt yelled at us to run. We all sprinted together, quickly. Luckily, our family was fit, so we all kept pace with each other. The fear in my aunt's eyes are what kept me to continue to run. I felt like she knew something, but she didn't tell us what. Suddenly, we heard the loudest screech. It was ear-piercing, blood-curdling, and unearthly. It sounded like a dying cat mixed with metal. My body felt hot. I believed my adrenaline was being released into my veins. I ran faster, and my body did not get tired. I believe my family kept up with me. We ran for like 5 minutes, didn't look back. I saw the porch lights in the distance. "We're almost there. Keep pushing," my brother shouted. My uncle, Aunt Ray, and my mom, they all saw my brother and I rush into the house, panting. They were all equally worried. My uncle, he asked,
"Where's Kay?"
We turned around and realized we accidentally left our aunt behind while running. We explained to them what happened, and then they called the police. 30 minutes went by. A group of officers came to the scene and asked us where we left our aunt. My brother and I traveled with the police and searched the woods. We found pieces of ripped clothing and blood. We assumed the worst. The lead officer told another to stay with us and to return us home. We had no idea what to do, so we just stayed with our uncle in the living room. My Aunt Ray was pacing a lot, and she said to herself out loud,
To hell with this.
She couldn't wait, so she just left the house without telling us. She didn't give us a chance to yell at her to stop. My Aunt Ray was a bit stubborn lady, so we didn't bother to stop her. An hour later went by. We were all asleep on the couch with my mom and uncle. They both were still awake. We heard banging on the trees, followed by the words outside of our door.
Please, help me open the door.
It was Aunt Ray. We noticed through the door window. We opened the door slowly. She was holding half of our Aunt Kay's body. And Aunt Ray was crying really hard.
Something was following me. I've been standing here for a few minutes, thinking how to explain this to you all, but then I heard myself talking behind me. That wasn't me yelling for help.
We were all confused. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the entire environment got quiet. We looked at Aunt Ray.
Oh my god!
Aunt Ray released a loud scream that will forever haunt me. She was being dragged back into the woods. We watched in horror as she was being lifted up into the trees, and her screams immediately stopped.
Get to the car!
My mom commanded. We all ran to the car. My uncle drove as fast as he could. He pulled to the side. My uncle called the cops again, and they said they were already nearby. About 5 minutes went by, and we saw siren lights driving past us. My uncle followed behind. We all returned to the house with the cops. We explained that 2 of our aunts were killed by some creature. Then, the woods got quiet. Everyone looked around. We then heard Aunt Ray.
Please help me! I'm stuck! Help me!
The group of cops ran to the cries for help. We looked into the distance and saw my Aunt Ray. She was in a weird pose. Her arms were dangling down, so was her head, and one of her legs was clearly broken. We knew this wasn't our aunt, and my family and I screamed at the same time. No, don't, no! It's a trap! One of the cops didn't listen, so he placed his hands on my aunt and asked,
Ma'am, are you okay?
She lifted her head up. It was not my aunt's face. It was a deer skull. The officer wasn't shocked. Before pulling his gun from his holster, the creature lunged on his face and tore him to pieces.
What is that?
The forest was filled with loud pops and sounds of war. The creature was screaming the same sound that I heard way before. My aunt's body was no longer the same. She was transforming. Her skin was peeling off and turned into a larger, thin beast. It roared as it gained its full power. My family and I returned back to the car. I opened the door, and before I entered, I looked and saw the skinwalker was in the progress of killing the policeman while being shot. It looked like the bullets didn't even bother it. I heard bones break, flesh being torn, and groans of pain. I was grabbed by my shirt collar and pulled into the car by my mom. My uncle floored it. We escaped that scene with our lives. Skipped some time in the future. We found out that our names and faces were all over the news for our arrest, because they thought we all killed the police officers, and they couldn't find their bodies, only blood and clothing. So, no charges were made yet, but our house was constantly under surveillance by the government. It was fine by us. At least if it returns, it would be caught on film. To this day, we don't leave our cabin alone, and we stay out of the dark. Good night, farewell, and remember, don't get lost in the dark.